Should Republicans be supporting Thomas Massie's discharge petition? Editing, Noelle here. I am aware that it is discharge petition, but for some reason, when I filmed this video, that was a tongue twister for me. So if throughout this video I continue to say position, I apologize, because I do know that I just physically could not say discharge petition for some reason. Thank you. For the Epstein list, this seems to be the question of the week, the debate on the Hill. Everyone is talking about this, so naturally I want to chime in as well. But before we do, you already know the drill. Make sure that you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It means a ton to me. If you want to follow me on any other social medias, those are linked down below. As always, I post short form content over there if that's something that you're interested in. And without any further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, so the long and short of it is that Thomas Massie reintroduced his discharge petition to release the Epstein files. And basically what that is a legislative tool that can help to skip over oversight committees or other committees and bring something to a vote on the floor right away. So it just kind of expedites that process. And in this case, that would be the oversight committee, because they have been working on the Epstein case. They subpoenaed for all of the files, all of the lists, everything and anything involving this case has been subpoenaed to the oversight committee so that they can review it and decide what to release. Personally, I find it really fascinating that they subpoenaed something that supposedly doesn't exist, but we're gonna move right past that because otherwise I will get heartburn. Okay, so we're actually gonna rewind a bit to when Massie first introduced this back in July. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up and we'll read through what he originally introduced. Okay, so this is the original resolution that has been proposed. Not later than 30 days after the date of enactment of this act, the Attorney General shall, subject to subsection B, make publicly available in a searchable and downloadable format all unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials in the possession of the Department of Justice, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the United States Attorney's Office that relate to Jeffrey Epstein, including all investigations, prosecutions, or custodial manners, Ghislaine Maxwell, flight logs or travel records, including but not limited to manifest itineraries, pilot records, or customs or immigration documentation, for any aircraft, vessel, or vehicle owned, operated, or used by Jeffrey Epstein or any related entity. Individuals, including government officials, named or referenced in connection with Epstein's criminal activities, civil settlements, immunity or plea agreements, or investigatory proceedings. 5. Entities, corporate, nonprofit, academic, or governmental, with known or alleged ties to Epstein's trafficking or financial networks. 6. Any immunity deals, non-prosecution agreements, plea bargains, or sealed settlements involving Epstein or his associates. 7. Internal DOJ communications, including emails, memos, meeting notes concerning decisions to charge, not charge, investigate, or decline to investigate Epstein or his associates. 8. All communications, memoranda, directives, logs, or metadata concerning the destruction, deletion, alteration, misplacement, or concealment of documents, recordings, or electronic data related to Epstein, his associates, his detention, his death, or any investigative files. 9. Documentation of Epstein's detention or death, including the incident reports, witness interviews, medical examiner files, autopsy reports, and written records detailing the circumstances of death. Now, as far as prohibiting grounds for withholding, no record shall be withheld, delayed, or redacted on the basis of any of the following. 1. Embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity, including to any government official, public figure, or foreign dignitary. Permitted withholdings contain personally identifiable information of victims or victims' personal or medical files and similar files, the disclosure of which would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. B. Depicts or contains child sexual abuse materials. C. Would jeopardize an active federal investigation or ongoing prosecution, provided that such withholding is narrowly tailored and temporary. D. Depicts or contains images of death, physical abuse, injury of any person. Or E. Contain information specifically authorized under criteria established by the executive order to be kept secret in the interest of national defense or foreign policy, and are in fact properly classified pursuant to such executive order. All redactions must be accompanied by a written justification published in the Federal Register and submitted to Congress. To the extent that any covered information would be otherwise redacted or withheld as classified information under this section, the Attorney General shall declassify that classified information to the maximum extent possible. If the Attorney General makes a determination that covered information may not be declassified and may be available in a manner that protests the national security of the United States, including methods or sources related to national security, the Attorney General shall release an unclassified summary for each of the redacted or withheld classified information. All decisions to classify any covered information after July 1st, 2025 shall be published in the Federal Register and submitted to Congress, including the date of classification, the identity of the classifying authority, and the unclassified summary of the justification. Within 15 days of completion of the release required under Section 2, the Attorney General shall submit to the House and Senate committees on the judiciary a report listing one, all categories of records released and withheld, 2, a summary of redactions made, including legal basis, and 3, a list of all government officials and politically exposed persons named or referenced in the release materials with no redactions permitted under sections B1. This is probably the most comprehensive approach that has been taken. It covers victims' privacy, it covers child inappropriate materials. It covers everything except for the thing that they truly want covered, which is reputational damage. And I just personally am to the point where there's a difference between somebody naming you with no basis. That would be one thing. However, if you are for some reason listed in the flight logs, let's just say, that does not mean that you were engaged in everything that was going on. But you also are not entitled to not having your information on there. I'm sorry. It's too big. It's too important. So shortly after bringing this petition, Speaker Johnson decided to release the House for an early recess because if you don't know, our overly paid representatives actually get quite a bit of time off to not do the thing that they were elected and paid to do. So that was just suspicious. We talked about that when it happened. Again, we're going to move right past it because of the heartburn. But Congress is officially back in session, and Thomas Massie wasted no time reintroducing this petition. And it's just really interesting the fighting that has occurred. The White House went as far as to say that anyone who signs this petition, it will be viewed as a hostile act towards the administration. And I find that to be incredibly interesting, considering this is supposed to be the administration of transparency, and this feels like the most transparent approach to this issue humanly imaginable. But their reasoning for this is that the House Oversight Committee is working on it, so there is no need. It is unnecessary to have this. I think I and a lot of other Americans view it as a safeguard. Because the reality is whatever the Oversight Committee releases is probably going to be nothing. Like, they'll release it and it will all be redacted. I mean, Massie even made this point. They had a meeting early last week and discussing this. They brought together those who want to go with the route of the Oversight Committee and those who like Thomas Massie's approach, brought them together, had a meeting, and Massie made the point of, quote, he said, the DOJ simply can't be trusted to release all of the relevant information without legislation forcing the agency's hand. And that is exactly what this is. And then he went as far as showing one of the reports that was released from the Oversight Committee of one of the pages of the flight log, and it was 100% redacted. So I don't know how that helps anyone. I don't know what that's supposed to do, except piss people off even further. Now, I do want to say that it is kind of unfortunate because optically you have pretty much 100% of the Democrats in the House signing on to this, and there are only four Republicans, including Thomas Massie, who have signed on to it, and I am almost willing to bet you can guess who they are. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mace, and Lauren Boebert, because all of those people are the ones who do not give a fuck about decorum, and they do what they think is the right thing to do, disagree or not. The one missing signature that kind of surprises me a little bit is Jim Jordan. I know that he is involved with, what's his committee? Judiciary, or I can't remember his exact committee, but he is chair of a committee. That could be why. I am a little bit surprised that he isn't signed on to this, though. What it comes down to is you have one side saying that they got it covered with the oversight committee, and the other side saying, we don't trust you. That is the shortest possible version of this Epstein battle on the Hill amongst the Republicans. And I gotta say, I'm siding with the I don't trust you gang, because why would we? I've seen a lot of conversation about, like, why is this suddenly such a big conversation now that Trump's in office? It's obviously something coordinated against him, and I disagree. I do disagree with that, and here's why. He campaigned on it. He campaigned on transparency. He campaigned on releasing all files. Epstein, JFK, RFK, he campaigned on releasing all of it, and he didn't. And you have Pam Bondi, who said that she has files and lists on her desk that are just waiting to be released, that she just needs to review and then release. And then she has some retarded meeting thing with all of those dumb influencers with their stupid binders that had zero new information in them. What was the point of that? That made her look stupid, and it made Americans mad. It pissed off a lot of people, and I think that the administration has fanned the flames here quite a bit and turned it into what it is. I think that it's rightfully as big as it is, because we are talking about the biggest child sex trafficking ring in the history of this country. I think it's quite worthy of the outrage that it is receiving and the conversation, the undying conversation that it's receiving. However, I understand also optically that it doesn't look great, and it's very advantageous for Democrats, and that's why I just sign the petition and release everything. If Trump is named on them, I honestly have my doubts that he is. I do believe that if he were, they would have released it a long time ago, because they are so hell-bent on burning him down, they would have burned themselves down with it. So I think that if he was truly incriminated in these files, it would have already been released. So I don't know what the fucking holdup is. If it's just like that world imploding, if there's just that many world leaders on that list. But guess what? I don't give a fuck. Release it. If it implodes the world, then the world needs to be imploded, because that means we are run by child sex traffickers, and that should be exposed, and we need to do something about that. Because that is demonic. If that's the truth, then we're run by demons, and maybe we should address that. But as going forward, to be fair, I am filming this on Thursday. It's the 4th. This isn't coming out till Monday, so more people could have signed on to this by then, but I doubt it. And I think that we should all be taking note of every Republican who does not sign on to this, because they are pussy shit. They have no backbone, and they're not strong enough to be doing the job that we need them to do. And that's my opinion on it. I don't see anything wrong with having an extra line of defense, an extra line of insurance, of guaranteeing that we get the information that is in there. Because if this goes through and then we still don't get anything, then at least we can say we tried our very hardest. And honestly, at that point, it's a losing battle, and we're probably never going to win. This is like a last-ditch effort. So give it your all. Try your hardest. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, though. I'm really interested to know which side of this you lie on. And yeah, I will talk to you guys on Friday. Bye. Okay, so the long and short of it is that Thomas Massie reintroduced his discharge. Thomas Massie discharged. Oh my! Used his discharge petition. Why can't I say this?